think it's a challenging decision for a lot of people. I think I love the sciences, and that's a huge barrier to a lot of people, is just surviving those weed out classes of chemistry, biology, and physics. But that actually doesn't have that much to do with medicine. So
Yeah.
I wouldn't discourage anyone who doesn't love those classes to go away from medicine. But I enjoyed the sciences, and then I like the application of science to people and interaction. So I felt like rather than doing research, where it's just me and working with just science without any sort of, application to people, that's where I made my decision. I actually, the thing that was the most helpful is, I think the most difficult admissions criteria are here at the University of Utah. I mean, I don't know about other schools, but I don't know about a lot of other schools. I did look at a number of programs, but the University of Utah has some really specific criteria, and I was kind of fortunate early on in undergrad to know that I wanted to do medicine. And so I looked up on their website, and I actually met with somebody at the admissions office, well, I guess I'm answering the question of how I got into medical school. But on that website, there's 8 categories, and I'm sure people are familiar with these, but generally, the ones I can remember are MCAT grades, leadership, volunteer work, patient exposure, physician shadowing,
research,
and extracurricular.
Okay.
So what I did is they have minimal requirements on all those categories for the U, and then they have an average. And they say to get in, you need to be above average in 5 of 8. And so I just, from day one, just started in getting engaged in those things.
Yeah.
And I thought that was good preparation for medical school too. I mean, I think, having those experiences was helping me be with patients and know that's what I wanted to do.
For sure.
So, if somebody who was on the admissions, what do you call that? The selection committee.
Okay.
For the U, I met with them, and he said you need to have a hook on your application. And I thought that was really interesting. And what he meant by that is these people are reading thousands of paper applications, and if you don't have something that sounds interesting on paper about you, you're going to get lost. And so I felt like my best advice was the best advice I was given that I would pass on to others is try to be different.
Okay.
And the problem is that everyone gets caught up in doing research that, research you have to do.
Yeah, for sure.
But you want your research to be as different as possible and unique and something that will stand out, not just you volunteer in a lab like everyone else.
Yeah.
And the other thing people get caught up doing is, and this is just my opinion, but they work in a hospital.
Yeah.
They do kind of the thing that everybody else is doing.
Yeah.
And instead of working in a hospital, I decided I loved piano. I decided to teach piano as my means for college.
Okay.
And that was asked on by every interview I had.
So was that your hook then, or?
I felt it was one of the parts that just made me different. And so my advice would be to people is don't try to conform to medicine.
Mm-hmm.
Keep your unique traits. That is actually what is going to hook people into getting to make you memorable.
Okay.
And to help you get in.
Makes sense.
So generally, I guess, as far as academic general advice, I think grades, sadly, they don't get you in, but they've become a pretty challenging screening tool.
Yeah.
And so, whatever you're doing extracurricularly, it can't come at the sacrifice of your grades. I think. And I never took more than 2 science classes at a time because I felt like those were so demanding that I needed time. And the best, I felt like, to do well academically, my approach was to study my brains out for the first exam, because everybody always underestimates the first exam, and then usually you could drop exams. So that was an approach that I took. That would be my general advice: is you do your best on the first exam, you get above average, and then now you're in a position where you're not catching up.
Yeah.
So that'd be my academic general advice. As far as other advice, I think if you're a freshman or sophomore, I think everybody has things that they're interested in outside of medicine, and what I would do is pursue those and then make those unique and not just unique, but kind of have some sort of achievement behind them.
Okay.
Meaning like if you like biking, train for a bike race. There's some pretty famous what's the
like Latoya one or something? There's
Lodajaw.
Lodajaw.
So it's like a 200 mile bike race.
Yeah.
That's something that you could talk about in an application. much more than just saying I love biking.
I like biking. That's
yeah,
cool.
or if you like I like piano, be a piano teacher. Or
Mm-hmm.
I ended up playing the piano at hospitals for musical therapy.
Okay.
You know, and then I ended up playing the piano at like a dance class as well for kids with disabilities, and assisted in that dance class as well. And those are things that just people, they're just not going to see many students doing that. And I felt like that was probably the anchor that really got me into medical school.